Oh, ladies and germs, welcome to the cave. This is an about time one day build, and I'm not going to finish it today because it's the weekend. I just came in because I was inspired. Ladies and gentlemen, my R2 unit has a bad motivator. You guys have been asking on the channel for ages for some R2 love, and today in this build, you're going to get it. Because I'm going to fix this guy up. He's been sitting in my cave now for 12 years. I finished him back in 2005. So he's been completed since, for 17 years. Oh my God. But he needs a lot of help. His data displays are, they've crapped out. I want to rebuild them. The data displays are these little displays in R2 that have some neat little blinky lights going on. There's some blue and white ones here, and there's some yellow. There's a long yellow and green one behind. In general, everybody who's building R2-D2s is working from wonderful, wonderful measurements. There is no perfect canon set of measurements for R2-D2. I want to state that right up front. I have worked with 2 or 3 of the original aluminum R2s and a host of the fiberglass ones. The aluminum ones were built for Star Wars. Fiberglass ones were built for all the movies after. And plus or minus 1/4 of an inch on some of these measurements from R2 to R2 to R2. There is no exactitude in this, which is fine. That's not the issue. So in general, everyone who's building an R2 is working from terrific plans. You know, what the R2-D2 Builders Group has assembled over the years is a very fine set of measurements. They're totally great and, ready for filmmaking. Those measurements have now been used in R2s that have been seen on screen. But there's one thing that I regularly see that is different than the original R2, and it's these data displays. On the original, they are fiber optic. So inside this data display is a piece of metal or plastic with some holes drilled in it. Fiber optics have been fed through those holes. It's been potted in epoxy, and then the other end of that fiber optic goes, drum roll, to a color wheel on a motor that is spinning. And as that color wheel, and there's a light behind the color wheel, and as the gels on the color wheel go past the light into the fiber optic, the fiber optics come out and you get this really cool sort of lighting effect. What everyone does nowadays is they use grids of LEDs to make to make the data display work. And it's fine. It's fine. But me, in my heart of hearts, I don't love it. So today, I am going to do a one-day build of rebuilding R2-D2's data displays like the original Kenny Baker aluminum R2s from New Hope from 1976, built by some aerospace engineers in England to just surpassing perfection. The original aluminum R2-D2s are like pieces of jewelry. I have several other projects to do on my R2. I have several other projects on the body and the feet and some other stuff to get him gussied up. You're just gonna love this. It's gonna be awesome. This head, if I remember correctly, God, I don't remember. Way back in the day, we had a bunch of these heads run. But I think it was one of the very first runs of R2-D2 domes that were then laser cut in the paneling. So there's an underdome, an overdome, and also make no mistake, R2's dome is not spherical. It is not spherical. It's not parabolic either. It is its own shape. And that took some doing to make sure we got that right. All right, have I covered everything? I'm probably just going to make sure that these work too. Again, everyone has gone with a sort of solid state electronic solution for these, whereas this light flips red and blue, and the back one flips green and something, or maybe green and yellow. I can't quite remember. I'll have to look it up. Anyway, I'm going to fix all the lights in R2-D2's head. I'm going to pull out all of the old electronics. I am literally reinventing the wheel. The thing is that this is all modifications made on a 17-year-old wiring diagram. I am going to start from scratch. I'm going to have one plug that comes out of here that goes to the main power for R2. Why am I still talking? Why aren't we building? Let's get to building. Okay. Oh, I almost forgot. The reason I can do this is because Mike McMaster, R2 builder extraordinaire, R2, BB-8, Wally builder extraordinaire, has sent me some extra aluminum surrounds for these data ports. Oh, they look so pretty. So this is what, this is how I'm going to build this thing. Oh, it's going to be so neat. Let's go. There you go. Yeah. Gone. We're going to redo the whole thing. Oh, right. Here are some little LEDs that I actually threw in here that blink blue and white, and I made those. Oh, actually, sorry. Here is what the original Star Wars data display looked like. And that looks like a pain in the butt to do, but it ain't, and I'm going to show you. You know, the really nice thing about R2 as a build project is that R2 is beat to crap. R2 is crufty. So you don't need to be too precious. I'm going to clean this up simply because I think it should look neater. But that's about it. I think I've got... I think I've cleaned up in here as much as I want to. Oh yeah, that can actually go there with that. Okay, telescope is a separate project. Today, it's data displays. Much better. Let's find out if the data displays actually fit. If they don't, I need to... Nope, look at that. That's a beautiful fit right there. If anything, it's a tiny bit small, but I can hide that with some dirt. Great. Marvelous. Right, how does that look when it's in there? Looks pretty good. Yeah, that looks nice. So, because I don't like gluing and I glued stuff in here and it made things difficult later, what I'm going to do with this is McMaster's designed these pieces, or whoever designed them for him, in a beautiful way so that they have these holes in them. So I am going to have some screws coming through back here that receive those holes, that these holes register onto. But in order to do that, I'm going to need to provide a little more relief here. So this is about 3 millimeters, 2.5 millimeters. I'm going to reduce it to probably about 1 millimeter, and then I'm going to use some thin aluminum, which I'm then going to epoxy into here with the screws facing outward. Yeah, it should all work. It should all work. Actually, I wonder if I can get a spudger under there. This is where I feel like Ted Woodford pulling a bridge off a beautiful guitar, you know, trying to maintain the purity of the thing. I was just watching Ted Woodford's channel last night, watching him repair the bridges on a couple of old Martins. I find that stuff really peaceful, Ted. Thank you for your content. Thank you for your content. Oh, got a little scratch there. Weathering. Yes. Oh, you know, one of the things I love about watching Ted Woodford peel glued pieces off of ancient guitars is just how much patience it takes, and then how he doesn't even like revel in the like, it's free, which is how I screw a lot of things up. He's like, it's free. And he carefully removes everything, pops the piece off. I think we have this mostly freed from, this is all ancient 5-minute epoxy. Okay, all right. There's a patch right here, still really holding on tight. It's the last rebel group. There we go. That was it. And channel my inner Woodford and oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah, okay, so again, I still don't even mind that this is a little chewed up. That is totally fine. The reason being, I can still make it work. Great, I don't mind the we had this custom spun, which means it's very soft aluminum. And that is actually accurate to the original R2, was also incredibly soft aluminum. What did I use to hold this on? I'm not even sure anymore. I guess I could do VHB, as it's been on the channel a lot lately. So just want to clean, I want to clean that down there. Let us make some reference marks, shall we? Good. That looks neater. All right, I'm going to hold this on the VHB. I was thinking about some other solutions, but yeah, that's going to be the best one that I can achieve and get what I want at. But I don't have to worry about that just yet. I've got it. Good, that's good. Sorry, I'm just putting some tools away. So this data display, which is this data display, is three by 22 holes. And those holes are 125, 1/8 of an inch. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to show you how this works. So here is the old fiber optic display. And here's the other end of the fiber optics. And when I put a light in them, see that? Yeah, there you go. That's how the data display should work, and that's how it should look, and that's how it should look. That's how it should look. So that's how we're going to make it look. 3 by 22 holes. Transfer plugs. All right, so what is this threading? It's some millimeter thing. And we're going to turn it into a 440. If these holes had to do real mechanical work, I wouldn't do this with them, but they don't. Ladies and gentlemen, how am I going to transfer this hole pattern to a piece of metal through a thing called a transfer plug? That is a transfer plug. It is a piece of threaded rod. It is basically a spike with different threadings on the back of it. And I have them in, 440, 632, 824, 832, 1024, 1032, quarter 20, 5/16, 3/8, 7/8, etc. And so what you do is you put these into the holes. You can actually use the holder, tighten these in so that they're all level. Great. Now, I take these transfer plugs and I put them on a piece of aluminum. This soft hardware store aluminum will be perfect for my needs. And we're going to give this a good thwack in order to transfer the holes. There it is. What I have now are 6 punches for the holes. I'm going to drill those. I'm going to pull the transfer plugs out. I'm going to transfer them to the other data display. Yeah, I think that McMaster used metric for these holes. What, 1 millimeter? 40 thou? No, be 1.5. Yeah, something like that. The first tap I used had a spiral point. This is a flatter bottom tap, so I'm just making sure the holes are threaded as far down as I can get them. It was less critical on the long data display, which has more meat. But I'm going to do something tricky with this pair of data displays. Since these guys live one above the other, I'm going to cut a single piece of aluminum. Gotta get a piece of aluminum. All right, there's a couple things. One is that I want to make sure this is square, and I just like tamped this down randomly, and I want to make sure it's actually square to the piece, specifically because I'm going to clamp this into my vise to drill all the 3 by 22 holes. I'm going to do the same thing on the other one. So yeah, let's get these transfer punches back in here. Yeah, if I don't have them square to the piece of aluminum, then I'm doing all this adjustment after the fact, which is dumb. It's not dumb, but it's doable, but it's boring. Like, why cut the thing to adjust to your sloppiness at the beginning when just don't be sloppy at the beginning and then you don't have to adjust to your sloppiness? That's what made me a clean guy. I didn't used to be a clean guy. Now I'm a clean guy. All right, so. Let's see what their center to center distance is. Actually, I can do across all of them. Yes, okay. All right, we're gonna try that. It's 0.16 between the distances of the holes. Now, the short display, are you level? Are you parallel? Oh, you are parallel. Okay, cool. So the shorty, go shorty, splits, pivots on the center there. So once I know the center, I know some good things. One six. Okay, so
1.175 divided by 2 is 0.5875.
It's confusing, but I have to do a bunch of math to figure out where the first hole is, and then it's just a grid from there, and it's pretty straightforward. On this one, what is 3.55 divided by 2?
3.55 divided by 2 is 1.775.
775. Okay, that is the center. And on the long display,
0.525 divided by 2 is 0.2625.
2625. There we go. Okay. That, I must say, sexy. Yep. There you go. Yeah, look at that. That is, I am darn happy with that. Deuteronomy. Oh, yeah. Okay. Let's have a talk for a second. I know, a bunch of you are screaming at the screen, why don't you laser cut it? Take like 5 seconds to laser cut it. And it's a totally reasonable request. I am sure you could have done it faster than me. I am sure I could have done it faster than me. But the reason that I did this by hand is because I want my R2 to be made of metal. And I mean, I could see, but again, all of these things require me to go outside this shop to achieve a thing. Not far outside, but still outside. And right now it's just a beautiful Saturday that I woke up and thought, I really, really, really just want to work on these on these data displays. Not the hollow eyes, but the data displays. I want to work on the data displays, I said to myself. And that I did. Reader, I did. I am pleased. All right, now I'm going to trim these down and mount them to the metal. And then I'm going to call that a day. I'm going to go home. All right, there is one, and there is the other. They are ready to receive their fiber optic goodness. You might notice that this is a little bit leaned this way. There's a little more space here than there. I'm gonna fix that by opening these holes just a little bit, but at the same time, R2 is wonky. So I'm only going to waste a little bit of time on that. I think I'm going to let this go here today. And yeah, I'll put these down here where they can inspire me when I come in. Yeah, and same here. And yeah, good job. Hey, I'm going to pause here in this build right now, my R2 parts build, to just talk about this guy here. Because he has come up on the channel a whole bunch, and I've spoken about him over the years. But I built this before I was doing any kind of coverage of my personal builds. He is 17 years old. 17 years ago is when I finished this guy. It was the third season of Mythbusters. We had moved from M6 to M7, and I had just helped them put together the M7 shop. And we had our first break in production of a couple of weeks, and I spent most of that couple of weeks wrapping up this build after 5 years, because we had started it back in 99, 98. Yeah, something like that. Anyway, it is deeply pleasurable to dive back into the R2 wilderness. And I also would like to say, lest you get any impression from the beginning of this video that I am pooping on anybody's version of their own R2, not at all. I am so delighted that thousands and thousands of people have enjoyed the same pleasure I have in making their own R2 units, whether it's R5-D4, BB-8, Wally. It's all part of the same slipstream plasma pool of wrapping your head around something that is surpassingly enjoyable to you until you know it utterly and bringing it into your life. Seriously, that's what it is to make one of these things. And the R2-D2 Builders Group, dude, like, you know, I was helping them with, Don Bees and I were helping them with some measurement ideas way back in the day. That was mostly led by Don. And it, you know, what we found in the burgeoning R2 community way back then still holds today is it is a deeply sharing economy, very similar to the Ghostbusters groups, to the 501st Legion and the Rebel Legions. That information is for sharing. I found, I mean, it's so, look, when I was first doing this in 98, 99, and then early aughts, I was assembling a Bible of information, but there wasn't a lot of people. There wasn't a lot of information. The information came from us, from ILM, but like people were sort of figuring out what they could. But last night I read like a 50-page PDF that went over every difference in every single R2 unit, from little doors that should have frames and sometimes don't. Like this one. Yeah, like that one. And so last week when I decided, okay, I've got the data displays from McMaster, it's time to remake mine. I seriously, please don't imagine if you have used any other lighting than the one I'm using that I somehow think it's less than. I spent this weekend worrying that I did too much gatekeeping at the top of this video. So put whatever lights you want or need to behind the data displays and all the other lighting of your R2 unit. I will love it regardless. And I am delighted to be adding some OG crappiness to mine. I mean, when you look at the original trilogy R2 units, specifically the New Hope ones, man, it's crunchy in this way that I find delightful. This guy has been with me through a lot of years, and we're going to get him even more gussied up than he is today. Yeah, I know. I got to fix that little bit there. Yeah, that's a little better. Yeah, this is just a break from our regularly scheduled programming to spread a little more R2 love in the world. It's an amazing project. Actually, before I wrap this out, I want to talk about, if you are debating whether or not to start your own R2, do it. Do it. There's no threshold for materials. People have worked this out of paper, out of cardboard, out of paper mache, out of fiberglass, out of styrene, out of Warbler, out of Sintra, out of aluminum, out of steel, out of titanium. I'm sure there's a titanium R2 out there somewhere, made by some nutty shipbuilder military contractor. Who knows? But there is almost no material this hasn't been made out of. In fact, one of the earliest pieces in the morgue I built of reference material for R2 was a paper R2 that turns out to have been built by Tom Sachs. Who knew that years later he would become one of my closest friends? So yeah, if you're debating whether or not to jump into this, R2 is a build of high complexity, but not necessarily difficulty. Yes, if you wanted to machine everything yourself, it's a big build and it's a long list, but there's tons of people making all the little details, all the little shoulder nurnies and these kind of things. You can buy STLs of this for pennies. You could 3D print this thing from scratch if you had enough time. It's all part of the same process. And the process is taking all of these details, the doors and the vents and the shoulders and the feet and the wheels and the electronics, and getting it into your brain pan. And then once you do and you start to build something out of that, such an endorphin rush, man. Yeah, anyway, okay, back to the data displays. I have my data display grids. It's time to feed some hair through them, and the hair is magnificent fiber optic cable, of which I procured this on eBay for a few bucks like 8 or 9 years ago, thinking someday I'm gonna redo my R2 unit. These are individual strands of fiber optic. They are each about 30 thou. Is that really true? Yeah, they're 30 thou. For me, this is the absolute ideal diameter for my data display ideas. The original Trilogy data displays were actually little, like, they were probably like 90 thousandths, 2 millimeters or such. They were like little 2 millimeter bundles wrapped in insulation. And then what they did was they took that insulation, they took those insulated wires and they just like shoved them all up in here until they were roughly in a grid format. But there was nothing holding them, just glue. So they like jammed them in like 3 high and like 20 across. And they did the same things for these. And if you look at the super close-ups of the OG data displays, you'll see little rings of insulation around each one. I am not doing that. My grid is far more regular. However, this will allow me to get a bunch of strands in each one, like 10 or 12 strands inside of each hole, and that looks really great. So the Kenny Baker R2 is the one that I'm copying here, because the Kenny Baker R2, just for your reference here, one of the data displays is here, and one of them is here. As I want to localize the light wheel that will power both of them, I'm going to have them come here. There is a lesson that I learned about a system like R2's head. When I first built R2's head, I had everything I had all the cables coming out to a rat's nest in the middle. And I even had, like, when I had the periscope in here, this is my servo for changing the direction of the periscope, and I had that mounted here. And like, I was blocking access to the rest of the head. The lesson that I have learned when working on a close quarter system like this is to constantly plan to stay out of my own way. And that is everything up against the sides, and like make every cable neat. You're going to want to get in here. It's going to be a pain in the butt. Don't make your own job harder. So on the Kenny Baker R2, because Kenny had to put his head in here, the fiber optics came around like this and stayed really close here. And so that's what I'm going to do. And that means then I'm going to want to, I'm probably going to go, let's say 10 inches for each side. And that should give me, actually, let's say 11. Nah, 10. 10 inches each side. That should give me enough playroom Wow. There it is. Okay. So I can fit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Let's see if I can fit 12. I love a round number. I know it's not a round number. Everyone gave me crap last week when I talked about whole numbers like 1/2 inch, 3/8. Nope, it's 11 per hole. There we go. Okay, so 11 per hole. And I have, let's see here. Okay, I have roughly 200 strands here. And if I cut these at 10-inch lengths, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, 7. I get 7 times 200. That's 1,400. That's 1,400 pieces.
122 times 11 is 1,342.
Holy shitballs. I have literally the exact precise amount. I needed 1,400 lengths, and if I fill every one of these holes with 11 strands of fiber optic, I need 1,342. Sorry, but that to me is hilarious. This is going to take a while. This threading is going to be a little bit of a slog. Let's, yeah, I'm going to put on some music, and this will be a long time lapse, I think. Anyone ever realize that Tom Hanks, when he signs a letter, T. Hanks, it spells thanks? Isn't that appropriate? Anyway, look, I've got a lot of parts to manage here, a lot of strands of fiber optic, and I want to redo my math right now because I've just gone through one whole hank. And now I can confirm my number. I had estimated about 200 strands, but I have filled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times 3, 18. I filled 20 holes. 20 times 12, that's 240 strands. Great, I'm on great track here. 240 strands. I will go in and slice these once I have added enough glue to their backsides. Yes. Right, so I have 240 strands plus a little bit, actually 245, which is great. That means I have plenty to fill all of these, and frankly, 6, 7. Yeah, it's going to take 3 strands to do these, and then 2. Yeah, we're in good shape. I'll only use 6 of these hanks by the end of the day. Hanks. I want to talk about tedium. I love talking about tedium. Tedium is one of the most important, it's one of the most important, let me get a little better shot. Hold on. Look, something like this is a tedious job. There's no doubt about it. Counting out and feeding a dozen lengths of specially cut fiber optic through over 100 separate little tiny holes. It's the very definition of a tedious job. So you just give into it. This is what's happening now. Tedium is a great mental frame for life. You know, you get impatient, you get patient again. You get impatient, you get impatient again. I soothe myself during tedium by doing math. You know, when I'm driving, I'm constantly doing the math of how many miles I have left, how long it'll take me. I know my GPS says that, but I like to do my own math when I'm passing those signs on Route 5 to LA. Something like this, I'm looking at my watch and I'm like, you know, I started this around an hour ago, a little longer. And frankly, I'm going to finish before noon, and I thought I'd be doing this for the better portion of today. So the thing I notice about tedium is it actually often happens way faster than you think the tedious task is going to happen. You get better at it as you go. You improve, you refine. And don't get me wrong, if I had to do a lot of these, I have all these ideas. I'd make a tapered hole with a tool so that I could feed these all into it and then guide them in there. But to be fair, once I saw how quickly this was actually going, I realized I don't need such interventions right now. I just get a little bit of the touch and feed these through. And every now and then one feeds through really nice and quickly. There we go, counting off another few. And the rest of the time, you know, listen to music. I love movie soundtracks for that. Okay, let's see. I'm not saying that this is any more fun because of the ways that I do it, but when I think about the rewards, right? Like when I first see light coming through these guys, it's going to be thrilling. Maybe I should just discuss a little bit of my methodology here. You couldn't possibly thread all of these things through all of these holes without holding on to some of them. So I'm using the thin CA glue on the back side of each hank that I put through to hold it in place. That's not going to be the only holding that I do for these, but it's the perfect temporary hold. Once I get these in, also, because the thin CA glue sometimes takes a minute to, you know, in the way that I'm doing this, if I lined up all of my hanks of 1 dozen strands and then just started going at it, I need to let the CA glue sort of settle every now and then, which is why I do about 5 or 6 at a time, and then I recount them. It gives the thin CA some time to kind of bond with itself. I'm really getting the touch sometimes. And then increment by increment, you know? Years and years ago, I had a loved one join a cult and did a lot of research into cults. And one of the things that I found about cults is that most of them seem to be just borrowing language from Lao Tzu and Taoism. Which is to say that they're actually borrowing some useful philosophies about navigating being a sentient being in the service of their cultiness. But, you know, so many of those things that are in Taoism, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. That's the whole reason I was talking about this. Like, it's really true. How do you fill 112 holes with 1 dozen Strands one at a time, you know? Meditative. So once I have all of these filled, I am going to give it a kind of a heavy dose of some of the flexible CA on the backside. Then I'm going to seal that. Once I feel like that is secure, then I'm going to slice the fronts. Once I slice the fronts, we're off to the races. Only 9 more to fill here. This is also where, when you're working in a shop, this is where shit can get really fun, because there's nothing more fun about a tedious job than racing someone else to do it faster and at the same quality. Come on, come on. There you go. Oh, yeah, look at that. They all went through cooperatively. Oh, this is great. I had no idea it would go this fast. What I'm happy about is that none of the thin CA is coming through the front, which I appreciate. Thin CA glue can wick and do all sorts of things to destroy your life and glue you to your props. Thin CA glue is chaotic good. This is the hardest one yet. And everybody in special effects will have some legendarily tedious job they participated in, whether it was like painting 1,000 cookies for some, you know, Chips Ahoy commercial, or whether you worked on Starship Troopers or helped build a 40-foot Titanic in 6 weeks flat. Yeah, the tedium of model making bonds us together. All right. 4 to go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Uno. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. No. Ooh, glued to me. Oh, I thought the last one was going to go really smoothly, but it only went mostly smoothly. Mostly. All right. Woo! I feel good. That's great. That's great. Let's get some of my new favorite CA, this flexible stuff here. We're going to lay it down into the forest. Yes. Now, I'm going to leave this and let it settle because I'm impatient and normally I wouldn't, and then I mess things up. So, I'm going to resist the vicissitudes of my own nature. And I'm going to start on the second one right away. Yeah. Yeah, it's like, yeah. Right, so, yeah. Right, yeah. Right, yeah. I entertain myself a lot. All right, there we go. Let's get this guy going. Well, I am on the last 3 fiber optic ports here. It has not been easy, and yet it's been really fun. I have filled 112 holes with 12 strands of fiber optics per hole. I may have undercounted several. That is fine. Yeah, this is, I really did not think that I would be done with this by noon today, and yet it is 5 minutes to noon, and I am going to lay down the last fiber optic in here before that happens. I think I can fit one more strand in there. Some of these holes are ever so slightly bigger than others. Some of them I have fit 13 in just to get the right fit. Here comes the last one. Dude. That's great. I have a standing call on Mondays at noon, and it's always nice to have something finished by then. It's an arbitrary stopping point. I think I can get one more strand in there. Whee! Deuteronomy. All right. This is awesome. This is amazing! I have some outliers in here. And I ended up with a whole hank of extra. So I am not going to trim these until I have this actually in the device. So the first thing I'm going to do is probably slice all these off and then attach it to the back of this. Then that gets actually filled with a little meniscus of epoxy in all 3 of these. Then they will install in the head. Then I will trim them. All right. Time to have my phone call. Ay. Sec. Ow. Whoops. All right. Ow. I gotta soften that up. Right, not bad, not bad. I know it looks a little crunchy, but crunchy is the name of the game. Crunchy is the name of the game. So let's get these things attached. That was a tricky maneuver because the key with knives is you never want to force them, and I was forcing it, so I was just really trying to make sure all of my important parts of me and my work were away from the path of destruction. So let's see here. I want to start putting these guys back together. Great. All right, let's bring the bring the head over here. Oh, right. You go there, and you go there, and you. There. Great. So this one kind of has to, yeah. So this one has to be cut to about here, to about there. That's what has to happen there. I think I want to, do I want to, oh, zip ties, zip ties. What I've been trying to do is adjust these two so that I got to get them, wherever this is pointing is wherever it's going to point. Like once it's there, I can't really move it. And this is the tougher one of the two light pipes. That's what this is effectively. So I am about to slice this here. I've added a bunch of thin CA glue. I've kicked it. So hopefully I will have the sort of monolithic round, and I'm actually going to use this ratcheting PVC pipe cutter. And let's see if this works. If there's something more pleasurable than having the right tool for the right job, I haven't found it. Look at that. Oh. But even more importantly, look at that. Ooh, yeah. Oh. Those are terrible R2 impressions. I should be able to do better after all these years. All right. Yes, but happy, happy, happy. Joy, joy, joy. And I think I can. I don't think I'm going to be able to get both of these powered off the same light, but I'm going to get them close to each other. So I think if I do this one here, like this. Yeah, and that one there. There'll be one there, and they won't be in each other's way. So yeah, great. I'm gonna get some glue on here, slice it up, add a pipe, etc., etc. Just so you see it again, I'm going to use this. So this is a cutter for cutting PVC pipe. I'll show you. Instead of using a saw, you can use this, and it ratchets. Oh, that is freaking magnificent. I dig that. And I have this because I collect cutters of every stripe. Ooh, hey, my phone is ringing. Excuse me, just a sec. Spam, 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 spam. Now we're going to slice through. Cut, 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 and done. Oh, baby. That is brilliant. I'm so happy about that. And again, are you ready for the magic? Can you handle it? Oh, look at that. They're all lit. And we get the woo, 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 woo. Yes. Of all of the impressions I've ever done of R2-D2 in my whole life, woo, 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 woo is without a doubt the worst. Great. Great, great, great. Okay, I'm going to cut a couple of little pipe adapters here. There we go. That is a respectable brightness. Is that the brightest it can be? Is that the brightest it can be? Nope. Great. I love it. Here, take a look. Look at that. Yes. Yep. That's good. That is working. Okay. So now, how to fit the other one in. Don't need that anymore. And then, so I'm in this state where I'm working really fast, and I like working fast, but I also, when I work fast, I work messy. And so if you look around, you'll see my workbench, and everything's covered. All the surfaces are covered. And now I'm starting to like lose track of where shit is. And that means I gotta slow down. I don't even know where these other pencils on cut are. Oh. .375. Oh yeah, you're not even looking at me. There you go. These things are hard to plan for. And I know there's like CAD, right? I know people do all this problem solving in a much simpler way than I'm doing it right now. This is how I like to work. Yeah. So look, it's worth explaining what is actually occurring here. What's actually happening. Where is that other piece? What's happening is I'm trying to make sure that all the lighting effects play well together in this business. And so far they are. Yeah, so far they are. I'm happy. But this one needs a little bit more finessing. I know people do all this kind of work in CAD and they figure out where everything goes. And for my money, I don't know. I like start to think, oh, if I did that, then I have to get these guided to somewhere specific. So I'd have to probably build a buck for these to hold on to them. And then I'm like, I just don't want to go near it. Okay. Yep. Okay. You're in there and you're in there. Yeah. If I have to extend that, I can. That makes it so then this comes out. Okay. Nice. Okay. Alvin, I have them. I'm going to get these in so that I'm happy with how everything looks. So there's that. And great. Okay. So I can put a little right there. All right, now the other one is this guy. All right. Do you want to see? Do you want to see? So here are. This is the dual data display that's to the left of the eye facing R2, to his right. And this is the rear long data display. What happens in here is each of these will get a little tiny motor on top. And that motor will spin a color wheel, which will go through that slot here and that slot there. And that color wheel will dictate the colors of these displays. I'm really happy with how low profile this is. Looks nice. I'm happy with how it looks. I haven't given myself any meat to hold on to these guys, and I think that what I'm going to do, I may make a little thing that just holds on to these, just like a little Delrin cap that I glue in with a little tightening nut. They're not under a lot of strain. Neither are these. I have the body of my color wheel mostly finished. See that slot there? Here's how this is all going to work. This little tiny, like 30 RPM 6-volt motor, which this is a 50 RPM 6-volt motor. I'm going to run it at 3 volts, which gets me less RPM. It's going to sit in here, tightened down by this, and then attached to it is going to be a little, excuse me, a little tiny flange, which will go to some clear plastic, which will be a wheel that spins through that slot. And that wheel will have some gels on it, and the gels will be the color that ends up coming through here. Yeah, I'm really happy with how bright that all is. Especially since I lose brightness with the gels. Everything you do with this, you lose brightness. So it's time to make the little tiny flanges. I don't have a ton of room, as you can see. I'm gonna make a little steel flange for that. Yeah. 100 thou. So it can be It can be 200 quarter inch in diameter. Okay, quarter inch in diameter is what I get out of each of these. So steel. Okay, I have cut out. This could easily be laser cut, a PETG disc, and I've made a little flange. There we go, to hold it onto my motor. I am now going to cut out go. Oh, right. Excellent. Okay. Okay. Get some packing tape. That, I think, will give me the light show that I want. Let's see. Let's find out. This is the first official test. I like the blue. I like the blue a lot. There we go. Good. Okay. Oh my God. I really don't feel like I can even progress with cleaning my shop until I get these kind of moving. All right. I definitely want a different pattern. As long as there's no hitch and it's get along. No hitch. It's powered up. Let's see the pattern. It's ground and that's hot. So the pattern for my long display is this. It's the measles. It's a Dr. Seuss disease. Bright green field with red dots. Let's see what that does. Polarity doesn't matter because it's a motor. It's just forward or reverse. Come on, let's see. Wait. No. Don't. Okay. Huh. All right. So that motor's dead. Let's see if I can get the other ones going. Ladies and germs, there she blows. That's the one that I want. Oh, clearly I need some more red. Oh, I need a lot more red. It's great. I really dig it, but I need a lot more red. Okay, however, mechanically, it's all going. I've been going so fast, I'm going to spend some time cleaning up the shop, and then I'm going to get back into... So there's a bunch of systems in the head. There are the hollow eyes. That's one. There is the periscope LEDs. That's two. There's the periscope bright light. That's three. There's the periscope motor up and down. That's four. There are the data display lights. That's five. There's the data display motors. That's six. Then there is the red and blue blinking front light. That's seven. And there's the green and yellow blinking backlight. I think it's green and yellow. I'll double check. 8 different powered things in here. Most of them get 12 volts. The rest get 3. And I can't really hook it. All I can do is test the systems until it's time to wire them all together for the switch panel. And I've got a switch panel, and I'm going to have a set of switches, single pole, single throw, double pole, double throw. But for right now, everything is so freaking messy. Blah, we're going to clean up. Hey everybody, we are almost done with our data displays. I'm really happy with the light. They are a little bit crunchy. That's kind of the point. A key aspect of the ones from the films is that they actually potted epoxy in there. Now, I don't feel like making these and these permanent relations with each other. No. I think that what I'm going to do is I am going to dam up this and its neighbor, the long one, with a little bit of aluminum tape. I'm going to make a little bit of a stand for this to hold it and be nice and level. And then I'm going to use some 5-minute epoxy, boop. And I'm going to do that on both. While I'm doing that, I'm going to take some awesome 5-minute JB weld that I have and pop these guys into the, onto the helm. There is my JB welded small frames. There is my JB welded large frame. It looks great from the outside. I know I'm showing you this upside down, but the editors can make it work. Sorry about that, everybody. There is a thing about mechanical problem solving. And you know, one thing I like to point out is if you're going to build something, you're going to build it. If you're going to build a complex solution, you're going to build it three times minimum. You got to plan for multiple executions of the same thing. But one of the other aspects about mechanical problem solving that you got to be ready for is the reassembly. I can't tell you how many times in the last day that I've pulled this entire thing apart and put it back in, and pulled the entire thing apart and put it back in, and pulled just repeatedly. So that is actually what I'm about to do. I'm about to do that one more time. I am about to take this thing apart and put it back together again. And once I have done that, oh, right. Also, sorry. I came up with a feature of my R2 head, which I had not considered before. But I found on Amazon this lovely thing. This is a receiver for that. For my, and this is these DeWalt batteries, these 20 volts, these are what I use here in the cave. This is fabulous. Now, Gabriel Tully was telling me that there are all sorts of 3D prints available, STLs, of the couplers for various battery systems. This was like, we'll include the link in the description. This is phenomenal to me. So what occurred to me was I could make my head self-powered. It doesn't have to connect to the body. It doesn't. It doesn't. There's nothing, they don't have to be together. So that's all it takes to swap out the power. I'm super happy about that. So then how do I step that 20 volt power down to a voltage that I can use, which is 12 volts. Most of the things in here are going to run on 12 volts, some of them on 3. I've got a little 3 volt transformer, but 12 volts. And I first had... Well, there's a thing in there. It's 12 volts, but it's like maybe an amp. And sometimes when these things tell you that they're like an amp or two, the answer is they're not quite. So then I found this, and this is a golf cart transformer. And I did some tests. This takes this 20 volts. Let me get that out of there so it doesn't short. This takes the 20 volts from this battery and steps it down beautifully to 12, just over 12 volts. So this will be my main head power, is the battery and this. And then I have nothing to worry about wires that travel between the head and the body. I'm so happy about that. That makes this a standalone piece. So we are in the final assembly mode of just getting the data displays to work. There's many other systems, and that's another build. But for today, for the data displays, for wrapping this out, taking it apart 1 or 2 more times is the next order of business. I have, first of all, I'm very pleased with how this looks. It's nice and neat. I don't have a lot of wiring going into strange places. Everything is pretty straightforward. I've routed the master power from the battery holder out to the lamps for the color wheels. I have also split it out to this 3-volt step-down transformer, out to the motors, which are running on 3 volts. I may run another resistor into this one to run it even slower. Sorry. If I've done everything correctly, the lights should all come on. So let's see here. Let's see if that works. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, all right. Good, good, good. And, dude! Data display. Neato. I'm very happy with how that looks. That's great. Yeah. I'm really, really, really happy with this. This is the first part of an ongoing project, which is, there is the 2 color wheels actually spinning. And here is the green and red data display, which is stopped because I have to mount the wheel in. Here is the blue data display, which is going. I'm very happy. Pull that. I am not under the, I don't think that my color wheels are done. I think I have to do more breaking up of the color within them. However, the functionality is done. There are so many more pieces to this. Right now, that's the data displays. I've also got to get the hollow eyes wired up. I've also got to get the periscope wired up. I've also got to get the flashing front and flashing back lights wired up. Once I have those all wired up, I need to actually, in here, resides my master switch panel. Yep, the master switch panel. And the master switch panel will have main power, hollow eyes, data displays, periscope lights, periscope motor up and down. It'll have all of those switches, plus some lights that tell you that it's activated. But those are all future projects. For right now, I'm calling the data display portion of our build, don't you tip over, all completed. Thank you guys for joining me for this one-day build. When you're making your own R2, you are making a happiness machine. For if an R2 unit is in your house, how could you be sad? I don't know the answer to that question. Diving back into this guy is deeply pleasurable. He was such an important part of my life back in 99 to 2005. So much obsession. Opening those folders and looking through their data has been invigorating, but also witnessing how much water has gone under the R2-D2 bridge since I was first obsessed. Now, whereas back then there were hundreds of people who had completed their own R2 units, now there are thousands. There might even be over 10,000 people that have made their own R2 unit all over the world. I am inspired by every single one of them. I hope you are inspired. Again, if you are thinking about diving into the R2 plasma pool, do it. Do it. All the information you need is out there, and it is a good plasma pool. Thank you guys for joining me for this one-day build, and I will see you next time. Yeah, I'm just going to keep working on this right away. It'll just be a different video.